Now you never threaten us again. Do you understand who the hell you are coming into my store and threatening my son's life? That's when we took control and put this guy down. Les Gold's tragic downfall from Hardcore Pawn isn't just a story of success and fame. It's also a story of betrayal, heartbreak, and shocking turns. From his early days to building an empire with American Jewelry and Loan, his life was full of ambition and grit, but even fame couldn't protect him from personal and professional problems. Listen in as we reveal the shocking moment that changed their empire forever and tell you the true story behind their rise and fall. Les Gold, Detroit's young dealer, wasn't born into the pawn business, he was born into it. By the time he was old enough to understand the value of a dollar, the young entrepreneur had already made his first sale. Imagine being only 7 years old and already working hard. That's how early the budding businessman started selling in his grandfather's shop, Sam's Loans, on Michigan Avenue in Detroit, where he learned how to bargain and handle all kinds of deals. It was in that shop, among the leather and brass, that he caught a glimpse of a dark secret that he kept hidden for years until fate revealed it. Sam's Loans later changed into something else, a pawn-themed restaurant called Gold Cash Gold. That venture didn't last forever, though, closing its doors 6 years after it opened. But the ambitious dealer had bigger plans. By age 12, he was already showing off he was good at business. While other kids were worrying about recess, he bought whole pizzas, sliced them up, and sold them at school for a profit because he was so angry that he had to go. That way of thinking set the tone for his future. He was born in Detroit and started his career in 1978 when he opened American Jewelry and Loan in an 8 Mile Road shopping center. Fast forward to the early 1990s and he is a successful businessman. He moved to Greenfield Road, which was still close to 8 Mile. It wasn't just a small improvement. He took over a 50,000 square foot building that used to be a bowling alley. Over time, the shop grew into a huge operation with 5 locations and over 1,000 customers every day. The experienced pawnbroker didn't do it alone, though. His wife Lily, whom he married in 1975, and his 2 kids, Ashley and Seth, joined the business. Seth, a graduate of the University of Michigan, took over marketing and came up with new strategies that the store would still be relying on ads in the yellow pages without him. Meanwhile, Ashley became a co-owner with a business degree and a Diamond C certification. She worked in the family business for over 15 years. American Jewelry and Loan wasn't just a local hit, it became famous across the country. They started running commercials on daytime TV shows, like The Jerry Springer Show, which caught the attention of Richard Dominick, who used to be Springer's executive producer. After Dominick left Springer, he approached the store's owner. Talk about turning his pawn shop into a reality show. It's hardest to teach my employees and my children to take the emotion out of it when you're buying it and bring it in when you're selling it, he said. The smart businessman agreed. And that's how Hardcore Pawn was born. The show showed the chaos and drama of a Detroit pawn shop and debuted in December 2009. It didn't take long for it to become a hit, drawing in millions of viewers. The family trio literally and figuratively ran the show. It was controversial at times because some viewers couldn't help but notice how much it looked like another reality show about pawn shops called Pawn Stars, which aired earlier in 2009. The creator of Hardcore Pawn was accused of copying the idea, but he defended his show by saying it was more real and raw than Pawn Stars. Hardcore Pawn was about real people, real struggles, and real deals, the head of the family said. Critics were wrong, but the show did very well and became a regular on True TV. People watched to see what crazy item or customer would come on next, from cannons to homemade stripper poles. One episode even had 2 horses trotting through the showroom. The show's success wasn't without problems, though. One of the biggest on-screen dramas happened when Seth tried to sell the Pontiac location without telling the founder. The patriarch was furious when he found out, and tensions between father and son were high, as fans thought. Even though Seth was kicked off the show, The problem was eventually fixed, though it wasn't forgotten. Things didn't go as well with Rich, the longtime store manager. Rich had been with the shop's owner for over 25 years, but their relationship fell apart after an argument on the show. Even though Rich apologized, he was eventually phased out, which led fans to speculate that he was fired because he was too popular and taking away from the Gold family. Customers saw that we have 40,000 items in the back, which means there are 40,000 stories with me and my family. Later, Bobby Johns, another worker, said that Rich's priorities changed once the cameras started rolling. He spent more time posing for pictures with fans than actually working. Eventually, Bobby started to appear more on the show, while Rich's presence faded. According to Bobby, Rich's wife even caused trouble by making rude comments about him on social media, so the senior pawnbroker and Seth had to step in. Rich was eventually fired, but Hardcore Pawn continued to attract viewers. By the 6th season, the show was averaging 2.2 million viewers per episode, and at its peak in 2013, it had more than 3 million viewers. Celebrities, like Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad, stopped by the shop. One of the most famous moments happened when the owner of the shop bought the van used by Dr. Deathjack Kevorkian for $20,000. He later sold it for a small amount of money. He bought the body for $5,000, saying it took up too much space. Fans thought it was a bit morbid, but it was just another example of his unique way of doing business. Running a pawn shop has its risks. Over the years, there have been thefts and betrayals. One memorable episode showed how the experienced dealer found out that Joe, a trusted security guard, had been stealing from the shop. Bobby later confirmed that what viewers saw on the show was real, and he said that working there felt like being part of a family. The Detroit businessman's fame went beyond the pawn shop. In 2013, he wrote an autobiography called For What It's Worth: Business Wisdom from a Pawnbroker. The book was an autobiography and business philosophy. It became a bestseller and was ranked 4th on the New York Times list in the Advice and How-To category. The show's success led to spin-offs like Combat Pawn, which was about a gun shop near a military base, and Hardcore Pawn Chicago, which was about two brothers who run a pawn shop. Chicago, this isn't good, and it's a big problem. Here's what I want you to do. Get your staff together and tell them the goal of today is to sell, sell, and sell. Even though these spin-offs were popular, truTV eventually switched its focus to comedy shows, and Hardcore Pawn wasn't renewed after its 9th season in 2014. Even after the cameras stopped rolling, the Gold family kept running American Jewelry and Loan. By that time, they had made a small fortune and were worth an estimated $5 million. A man named Tony was suspended for using inappropriate language toward a female coworker. His boss confronted Tony about the incident, and after some back and forth, Tony admitted his mistake. However, even though Tony apologized, he was still suspended, showing that disrespect in the workplace would not be tolerated. He also had high standards when it came to customer service, and mystery shoppers were often brought in to see how well employees treated customers. One such evaluation showed that even family members like Seth and Ashley weren't treated well. He pointed out times when they could have done better and stressed how important it was to keep customers happy. On the other hand, their cousin Karen was often praised for her professionalism, which didn't sit well with Ashley. The tension between Ashley and Karen was palpable throughout the series, with Ashley often putting down Karen in front of customers. Ashley's rivalry with Karen wasn't the only family feud that was shown. Her relationship with Seth was also tense, argued about how to run the shop, with Seth often seeing himself as the business's brains. Despite their disagreements, they were able to keep the shop running smoothly, at least most of the time. There was a lot of talk about why the show ended. Some thought it had something to do with family dynamics, saying that the constant tension between Ashley, the owner, and Seth made it impossible to keep going. Others thought it was because of falling ratings, saying that viewers dropped after Rich left. It was said that reality shows like Hardcore Pawn wouldn't do well because of comparisons to Pawn Stars, another show with a pawn shop theme. Many people thought Hardcore Pawn was a copy, even though the owner of the show insisted it was more real than Pawn Stars, which focused on rare and historical items. He often defended the show by saying that it showed the dirty, everyday transactions of a real pawn shop. Despite ending quickly, Hardcore Pawn didn't go away from the public's consciousness. Consciousness spin-offs like Combat Pawn and Hardcore Pawn Chicago tried to capture some of the show's magic but never quite reached the same level of success. Rich, on the other hand, went on to host a show on the National Geographic Channel called Meltdown, which was about recycling precious metals. The show only lasted one season, but it gave Rich a chance to stay in the spotlight for a little longer. Seth and Ashley kept running American Jewelry and Loan after the cameras stopped rolling. He even wrote an autobiography called For What It's Worth, sharing insights from his decade in the pawn business. Seth was praised for his work and won awards like Pawnbroker of the Year. He also started programs to help people with disabilities find work, showing that he was more than just a smart businessman. Ashley, on the other hand, decided to go out on her own. She quit the family business to open Pawn Chick Shopping, an online and brick-and-mortar jewelry store. Her drive to be an entrepreneur paid off, and she gained loyal customers. Now she has tens of thousands of followers on social media and is still growing her brand. Is family really the best business partner? Or does it create more problems than it solves? Let us know what you think below, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more interesting insights.